Hello, everybody. A wonderful day to all. Dear colleagues, good morning. I'm happy to be welcoming you to International Forum Rebus 2024, and the session we are having, number one here, is agglomerations, experience, challenges, and opportunities. We are having the greatest urbanist forum. Let me introduce the speakers that we are having for you. Mr. Rustam Minikhanov, the race of the Republic of Tatarstan. Nikita Stasishin, Deputy Minister of Construction and Housing and Communal Services of the Russian Federation. Alexander Sokolov, the Governor of Kirov Oblast. Dmitry Krasnov, Deputy Chairman of the Government of Czech Republic, Minister of Economic Development, Elsur Medshin, the Mayor of Kazan. And our foreign guest, Van Zide, is the Chairman of the Popular Political Consultative Council of the City of Xi'an. Vakas Elahi, Deputy Director of the Chief Department of Commercial Organizations of the Ministry of Trade of Pakistan, as well as Mr. Amar Nagati from Egypt, co-founder of Cluster of Cairo Laboratory for Urban Research, Training and Ecological Development. And we are having also others. My name is Mr. Bushukhin, the Chief Editor of РБК Недвижимость. And before we move to the discussion, let's have a brief video on screen. Renovation, unity, balance, sustainability, construction. That's how it was in Kazan 2023. Economy of Construction Historic Downtown. 24 sessions. Over 100 speakers. Over 2,000 participants offline. Over 5,000 online. (2024) Topic: agglomeration, experience, opportunities, challenges. 16 sessions. Over 80 experts, 23 countries, 60 regions of Russia. Are you ready? We begin. Thank you. And as it usually happens at large forums, let's start with the welcoming address, inviting the race of the Republic of Tatarstan to start. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants of the International Forum, and have a good day, wish in Tatar. Welcoming all of you in the Republic of Tatarstan. The topic of today's forum is agglomerations, experience, opportunities, and challenges. An important topic. An important place on the agenda for a majority of the regions of our country for the further development of the agglomeration systemic approach is necessary. Important that we develop necessary legal foundation as well as mechanisms that will be bringing in funding into respective infrastructure, provide the balance for all the types of housing, construction, social facilities, jobs, etc. Tatarstan is working in this dimension for many years. Thus, we would be happy to share the experience we have accumulated. We are one of the first in Russia to identify agglomerations as key growth points for our regional economy. Agglomeration-based approach was also confirmed in the strategy for the development of the Republic through 2030. we have identified the three agglomerations with their areas, basins, Kazan, Kama, and Almatyevsk agglomeration. Today, over 3 million people are residing there, which is 77% of the Republic's population. And let me note the fact that these agglomerations are generating over 85% of the gross regional product of the Republic. For more effective interaction within agglomerations, back in 2022, we have established the Institute of Spatial Planning. One of the principal tasks thereof was the development of the master plan for the development of agglomerations. The Institute has completed the work on the master plan of Kazan agglomeration, as part of which there are solutions prepared for the development of districts of Kazan, as well as municipal district adjacent there, to the development of transportation, engineering, infrastructure, the topics of environmental, ecological importance have worked on. Over 70% of housing throughout the Republic is built in Kazan agglomeration alone. Next year, the institution is completing the development of the master plan of Kama agglomeration, and the Almatyevsk agglomeration will be next. These territories are industrial centers of the Republic, and they are having very high indicator for investment attractiveness. Respective master plans, of course, are directed also at preserving of the historic heritage in a way that it keeps serving the benefits of the population of the Republic. I would note that as part of his message to the Federal Assembly, the National Parliament, Vladimir Putin, the President of Russia, has instructed to develop master plans for the development of 200 cities and agglomerations around the country. We would be happy to share our experience helping others around the country. In the recent years, we've been seeing the record of housing construction. Last year, over 110 million square meters of housing was introduced, 3.5 million of which was in the Republic. As I would have said, the greatest share of construction is taking place in the agglomeration. The increase of housing construction therein is overloading our both engineering networks, transportation networks, social infrastructure, and of course addressing these issues is impossible without federal support. Thanks to the support we are receiving from the federal levels, a number of important projects are being implemented in our republic, and in particular in the agglomeration we are in today. In here, it's a large Zelenodolsk, Laishevo node, as well as exit highways from the capital of the republic are being worked on. This year, we would conclude the construction of the second part of Voznesensky Tract, that will be a toll road that is connecting the capital with the adjacent districts, plus of course would assure connectivity to the federal highway, the M7. It's also important to be assuring the necessary transportation connectivity between agglomerations. So Almatyevsk-Alexeyevsk highway is being introduced, M7 segment surrounding Nabережные Челны Nizhnekamsk with a bridge across Kama River. These projects would not have been possible in the Republic without the federal support. Now, it's important to state that every region has its own experience, and the development of such territories, I am confident, would be valuable to all of us to listen to each other today. Agglomerations are living and developing. May I hope that we can be making this process more effective. Wishing you fruitful work, interesting discussions, and of course pleasant stay in our republic. Happy that there is a State Council Commission is here, Deputy Minister is here, and we are working quite intensively on all the aspects and all the proposals that would be developed jointly with the ministry. We would accept for the further discussions at the Commission level responsible for these dimensions. Thank you very much. Hushkildigus in Tatar, the same. Welcome to the Republic of Tatarstan.
Thank you very much, Rustam Nurgalevich. And for the welcome speech, I would like to give a floor Stasishin Nikita, the Deputy Minister of Residential Construction of Russian Federation. Good afternoon, dear Rustam Nurgalevich. Good afternoon, colleagues. Before my welcoming speech, I would like to demonstrate you the welcome speech from the Minister Fayzulin. I would like to read it for you. On behalf of the Housing Ministry and Minister personnel, I'd like to welcome the participants of the forum. The main topic of discussion today is the creation of agglomerations and promoting the smart strategies and core cities. This is the most important issues in the construction industry. By the decree of the Russian president, we are actively working on the national project Infrastructure for Life, the federal project of development of infrastructure in cities and towns, and its implementation is focused on enhancing the quality of life and foundation, the legal foundation, and also working out the current policies. I wish all of you very successful work within the framework of this event. And the commission mentioned by the President of the Republic, it is the authority which is responsible for coordination between the administration of President among the industries in Russia, and we as the ministry are lucky that this commission is headed by the colleagues from Tatarstan. So not just sharing our experience and exchanging experience, we are shaping the policies in city construction, in residential construction, the master plans for the development of the cities, and everything which is focused on enhancing the quality of life of our citizens, which we implement within the next 6 years as the part of the 6 years plan approved by the President of Russian Federation. Thank you very much, Nikita Evgenievich. So let's start our discussion. I had a question for Rustam Nurgalevich. You mentioned that we have 3 agglomerations in the Republic of Tatarstan: Kazan, Kama, and Almetievsk agglomeration. So should it be any specialization for them? Should they focus on something, or should they be multifunctional? And the second question, the typical problem is the discrepancy between the housing on this core area and the peripheral zone. So what is the right approach here in your opinion? When we approach this challenge, we see that the capital is the center of education and the center of aerospace industry, so there's planes, the helicopters, and of course petrochemicals. So we have the specializations for the center, for the capital of the region. It's the center of technology, of science, and we are working actively on digitalization. And Kama agglomeration is, first of all, it's machine building, and in the special day celebrating this industry, we host this event gathering the representatives of the industry, and in the Kama region we have this focus on machine and car production. Of course, we have the Alabuga Special Economic Zone. Very high-tech industries are working there, working in a sphere of import substitution, and of course petrochemical cluster, the oil production, processing, so it's income. They're focusing on car production and petrochemical. They're interconnected. And of course, Almetyevsk here is the center of petrochemical industry in the Republic. They are focusing on oil industry. So, but we do realize that each agglomeration should have some points of attractions and centers besides the social infrastructure and housing. Of course, it should be attracted to the youth. There should be educational facilities for them. The vocational education should be provided, and high schools focusing on technology, of course. In the capital, it's Kazan Federal University, no doubts, but we also have construction, technological, and power engineering universities. But historically, Kazan attracting people from other regions, from abroad, from other cities. This can become the point of attraction for the students. So our task is to provide a serious technical education on the federal level. And in this regard, the Kamaz and Kazan Federal University are working actively together, joining the efforts. And at Nizhnekamsk, this is the city focusing on the petrochemical industry. We have the Petrochemical Technical University, High School of Chemistry, and it should be placed in Nizhnekamsk, working actively in this direction. And of course, I would like to mention Almetyevsk, because Tatneft company, they understand that without education, without science, without this support, it's won't possible to be successful. And we have the High School of Petroleum, High School Oil, which is the high school of the highest level, world level. But it's not focusing only strictly on oil, it's focused on the new trends which are emerging in science. We understand that carbon those are great, but we need to diversify our activities. And speaking about the agglomeration, it should be about the balance and our economical advances and should only be growing. Speaking about the GDP of the Republic, it should achieve 5 trillions this year. So, and in my opinion, without very powerful educational, technical, scientific centers, our industry won't be advancing further. And we understand that we usually think that the money is of importance, but actually it's all about the personnel, all about the workers, people who have the leadership skills. So we understand our tasks, and we have to focus our attention on the fact that we should transfer what we have now for the next generations. Speaking about people living in Nabережные Челны, Almetyevsk, Nizhnekamsk, of course we will attract people from other regions and towns, but if we have the situation when the 70-80% of youths are moving from Nizhnekamsk, Almetyevsk, Nabережные Челны, I think we should address this issue, and agglomeration should be developing in a balance. So 70% of agglomeration is the housing, residential blocks. So it was our biggest mistake here. And this idea, when we were working with Marat Shakirzhanovich, and we saw this task, and I think we could avoid a lot of mistakes if we start addressing these challenges earlier. In Kazan agglomeration, Kama agglomeration, we need to realize that the residential blocks are of not of that importance. So we see this pendulum migration between the cities, so it only causes the disbalance in economy. So this is the very serious matter, how to shape the agglomerations. And our colleague Grigory is interested, so we would like to invite him because I'm telling them our experience. And I think in this direction we have a lot of experience. We continue to learn, and I think if we compare our efforts with Chinese People Republic, so it's a very serious, very interesting projects. So we couldn't even dream of their approach to these big mega projects on how they solve these issues. So the experience of China will be very interesting for us, and our colleagues from the other countries, they have their own interesting approaches and solutions. So, thank you. Thank you very much, Rustam Nurgalevich. Of course, we will ask for the experience of our foreign colleagues, and I would like to give the floor to Nikita Stasishin. Because this forming of the agglomeration is a very interesting agenda. So, what's the vision of the Ministry of Construction? Thank you very much for this question. So, the role of the Ministry of Construction, speaking quite bureaucratically, is just coordination of implementation of the region national project. Which we have a special sub-project, federal sub-project aimed at developing a balance of agglomeration from the point of view of transport infrastructure, accessibility, and infrastructure for comfortable living. And if we put it plainly, it's in order to create this or that agglomeration, we need the technical description of norms and standards that should be created within this agglomeration from a point of view of the density of population and all the necessary infrastructure. The topic mentioned by the head of the Republic is very important. I would like to draw attention to the fact that we should not aim at agglomerations only and the urbanizing process. But of course it's inevitable, but it is understandable that people are moving from some parts even of the Republic so we need to focus our attention on the level of the year, the age which the first child is born in a family. So we need to create so we create a lot of attraction points and trying to enhance the quality of living. But unfortunately, if we won't develop, let's say, 200 core towns or cities, but if we won't develop the small villages, their own agglomeration, the smaller agglomerations, which will be provided with hospitals, infrastructure, kindergartens, roads, and only in this case we could speak about the demographic growth. So the agglomeration is created, of course, on the First of all, we should speak about the road infrastructure, infrastructure in general, railroads, car roads, which is the factors which provides the comfort of living in agglomeration. And after this, what's the next step? So, for example, we constructed the M12 highway, but the residential construction amount in, for example, in the Vladimir region and other regions along this highway is unprecedented. So it is important to think about what product we create and who are the let's say the people who will use this product. For example, this and in my opinion, the product should be different in different countries. For example, in Kazan and Nabizhnaya Chelny. And we're speaking about the balanced development of the region as the big agglomeration. So I think at some points it should be the smaller house and some. From the point of view of the capitalization of the land plots, and in this regard, we could see that that our task should be balanced at the end of the day, and we should provide the opportunity for the regions to co-finance the logistics and social and engineering infrastructure. The situation in the residential construction is quite turbulent right now. They see the value of the currency right now, the challenges in the banking sphere. So we should focus on the cost for the developers while constructing the necessary infrastructure. 49, 51, up to 51% is only the cost for managing the credit, the loans. And in these conditions, the market conditions, so they see the high interest rate and the mortgage, so you see the that we are focusing our attention on the family mortgage right now, but we need to understand that barely residential construction, even in agglomerations, won't be a successful approach. We need to enhance the quality of life, which as a result will lead to the demographic growth. Thank you very much, Nikita Evgenich, and Rustam Nurgalevich also mentioned that we shouldn't focus only on the residential construction. And I would like to give a floor to Alexander Sokolov, the governor of Kirov region. Maybe you have an experience in shaping the agglomeration in Kirov region. And the second question here, any legislation barriers which prevent the agglomerations from development? Thank you very much. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I would like to address the first question. We have the Kirov agglomeration in our region, of course. This agglomeration exists from 2024, but the issue is the following. On the federal level, we don't have the legislature for development of the agglomerations, and right now we were forced to pass the regional laws which will regulate the creation and function of the agglomeration and what the responsibility the government has towards the agglomeration. And we hope that we will extrapolate our experience and we will have the common law for the whole territory of Russian Federation. And of course, we're speaking about the responsibilities from the responsibilities of the municipalities, municipal authorities, regional authorities, and federal authorities, and of course the responsibility of the government towards this new phenomena in our country. I hope it will standardize our approach in this regard on the spatial development on the territory of Russian Federation, because it's one of the agglomeration is one of the leading element of this development.
Could you please speak to us about Kirov agglomeration? Sure. Hello, everyone, once again. In the process of development of large cities that are influencing greater and greater number of cities around them, establishing agglomerations, our region is not an exception. Today, due to economic, social, historic, other factors, Kirov city agglomeration has been shaped. It has some 5 municipal bodies, including Kirov as a core of about over 500,000, with a total of close to 650,000. This is where the labor market, real estate, etc., markets are being shaped. We are lucky that Kirov is in the center of the region, and we are seeing that large investors are coming more actively into large megapolises with a larger labor market, with the education system, etc., etc. Thus, the federal government is also likely to be investing more into the settlements that are having significant amount of population. Here is how Kirov is located. In the proximity would be Kazan, Ijevsk, Perm, Kostroma, others. Of course, further development of the space will be strengthening the respective aspects of transportation, environmental, etc. Economic location of Kirov agglomeration in Volga Federal District has advantages and disadvantages. Let me give example of the last competition for people competing against Perm, Kazan, Ijevsk, Nizhny Novgorod. On top of that, of course, Cheboksary and Ijevsk you see on the map are also developing their projects, which are maybe insignificantly but still have greater population than ours. In that sense, development of the agglomeration and servicing its needs is not part of the fad, it's the need for survival. We are looking at the statistics. The main amount of industrial production, 75%, is taking place in the agglomeration. Let me give the industries: chemical, defense, wood, materials, light industry, textiles, of course, agriculture and construction also present. Respective municipalities that are part of Kirov city agglomeration are having the greatest amount of investment, 74 almost percent, to achieve national goals of the Russian Federation through 2030, as approved by the President of the Russian Federation in May of 2024. We are having goals and objectives that are reflecting the strategy of the socioeconomic development of the region, improving the quality of life, economic development through concentrations, high-tech innovation development, transportation, social infrastructure, assurance, providing for conditions for active housing construction, providing of electricity needs, improving quality of life. Obviously, all of that has to fit into the puzzle with other social and environmental issues. That means a uniform green belt around the capital of the region, social servicing in various districts, servicing low-rise areas, various municipal engineering solutions, public transportation, etc. Principal strategic infrastructure projects of Kirovsky agglomeration are, of course, transportation overpass under the railroad, which is a Trans-Siberian Railroad link. The implementation of the project, approved by the President of Russia, would allow for quicker exit from Kirov towards Kazan, Ijevsk, others. southern element of Kirov ring that would connect Kirov with Kirovo-Chepetsk and Slobodskaya with new road. This project will lower the cargo transit through Kirov, and would allow us to develop a modern, effective infrastructure around the agglomeration, ensuring transportation accessibility to Kazan, Perm, Nizhny Novgorod. Then we are working on deepening the Vyatka River that would assure the water transportation so that we would allow the cargo river transportation through Kama and Volga. Tourist routes would be improved. That's an important element of the image of the region. Tourism is an important resource for bringing private investment into various projects, including restoration of our heritage sites and as well as complex renovation of our cities, building university campus and machine building, processing, bioenergetics, etc. An important instrument, a project that would help us to both keep as well as attract educated youth, creating jobs for students and teachers. The development of campus is an important base condition, we would say, for keeping the local population in the region. And we are doing work to organize interaction with local industrial labor market participants. This link between university and industry is very important for competitiveness. The effectiveness of the project is being assured by the fact that we already have dozens of interested partners, as well as contest documentation has received positive recommendation of WebRF, Industrial Infrastructure Development Bank, state-level player. We have adopted a law on establishing and development of the agglomeration of Kirov Oblast on the 15th of October of this year. Plus, we would be soon having a completed master plan covering all the time frames, funding, etc. The budget of the region for 2025 has already earmarked material funding for the development of the project. We looked at the respective legislation at the federal level, the draft bill on respective comments into the federal legislation, and we would say that master plan concept should be included into the territorial planning documentation, because master plan is looked at both strategic and spatial development, and it's important that both federal level legislation should be improved in synchronous. Overall, the effort to ensure effectiveness of efforts into the development of agglomeration, I'd like to mark the fact that Kirov this year has celebrated its 650th anniversary. A lot of work was done as part of that. Cultural heritage sites, railroads, airport, community spaces, parks, squares, etc. were renovated, improved. Important events were setting the monument of Alexander Nevsky on a renewed square against of Alexander Nevsky Regional Philharmony, as well as art object, the gates of the Russian North at Spassky Square. 2024, Kirov has become an important cultural capital of Russia, thus inviting it to visit 7th December through 7th January events that will be taking place in Kirov. Looking forward to have you. Hope my presentation and your visit to our city will be useful. Thank you very much, sir, for the presentation. Success to the development of the. Let's move on to international agenda. Next speaker will be Ivan Zide, the chairman of the popular Political Consultative Council of the city of Xi'an. I have a comment on the fact that Xi'an has over 1,100 years of history. Once it was the biggest city in the world. Some time ago, 1,000 years ago, over 100,000 people are living in Xi'an. Mr. Zide, could you please speak about the way you are developing transportation infrastructure? And I would request, if you may, to limit yourself with 5-minute time frame. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, hello. I'm very pleased to use the opportunity to speak about the city of Xi'an today. It's a city over a millennium history, a number of thousand years. It's built in the center of China. It has a very long history. It's one of the centers comparable with Cairo and Rome, speaking in historic terms. In that sense, Xi'an is an open-air museum. It has great many cultural sites, over 3,000 of them. Various cultural collections, over 2 million of precious objects, and over 150 specialized museums. We could say that this is the most important city in the Huanghe River Valley, and its territory, at a quite large, one of the largest cities in China. Over 13 million people are residing therein, with a daytime population 15. Xi'an is both a scientific and industrial city. It has a great many universities, at least 80, speaking about higher education, and over 300,000 people are graduating universities annually. A great many sci-tech research institutions, over 1 million people are employed in sci-tech in our case. So this city is very well developed on the scientific front. We could say that we are one of the strongest cities in China. In this regard, we have great many high-tech companies. The specific type companies are over 12,000. Xi'an is one of the important nodes in China. Since 2023, our gross regional product has overpassed 2 trillion yuan. And we are seeing how the incomes of our population is growing at a rate of over 8% a year. 9,500 yuan is average income a month. Population industrial growth is over 9% every year. Plus, we are having growth in all aspects, including industry and commerce. It's over 4%. Significant tourism. Internal tourism is important, 33%. People are coming to take a look at our province, Shenxi. And since 2023, we are also having significant achievements in aerospace, new sources of energy, as well as automotive. Thus, the growth is 4.1% of our gross regional product. You thus see we keep on reaching new results, new highs. It's important that we continue helping our country to be building new future. We are becoming a platform for innovations. Thus, we are quite serious about the new sources of energy and about new opportunities for development. Xi'an is also a unique city in a sense that it's very developed, even though it is in the central part of China, in the inner part. It is still very important. We are underlining its transportation function. It's an important node along the One Belt, One Road initiative. We are thus seeing that this is an important international channel. We are having international airport, one of the largest airports in China, largest airport in the northwestern part of China. And as of 2023, we had over 100 international lines, over 25 cargo lines, over 30 countries being flown to. Quite good indicators for China. We are having an active interaction with the Central Asian part of the continent. We are being our internal transportation and logistics node. China to Europe, famous express, is going through us, and we are one of the exemplary cities. It's a very important path for us. The route through Shaanxi, 23 route, over 5,000 trains, over 4 million units of cargo, important growth. As of 2023, we have transported over 20 billion units of cargo to Russia. We are quite serious about this kind of cooperation, developing various forums, innovation forum, Central Asian forum, etc., etc. We are having great many events we are holding together, and we will be very happy to be growing our cooperation going forward. We are having over 30 countries with established friendly relations, established activities, sister city relationships. Once again, Xi'an is a place for opportunity, for hope. It's a key city of our country, and being the city of the One Belt and Road, we are giving the new opportunities to everyone for development. Since 2022, we are one of the key sci-tech development centers of People's Republic of China, demonstrating effective high-tech development of China. In recent years, Russia and China, countries with the Central Asia, we are actively interacting, working with Russian colleagues in Kazakhstan, have great many projects with all players. Thus, speaking about Russia specifically, it's very important for us that we should be growing, promoting this cooperation. And we hope that all our initiatives will be implemented. Our leaders will be helping together such development, things that will be taking place both at the regional level as well as at the national levels. I am very happy to have this opportunity to be meeting my colleagues from Russia to interact on various topics. This is how we can be improving our cooperation. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Dzide. And the next speaker will be Dmitry Krasnov from Czech Republic, Deputy Chairman of the Government, Minister for Economic Development and Property Relations. Dmitry Ivanovich, the question is to you. I know that the economy of the region is concentrated about Cheboksar agglomeration. What are opportunities that you are seeing for the development? Good afternoon, Khairlik and Dragon, as we say in Georgia. We are kind neighbors of the Republic of Tatarstan. I'd like to use the opportunity and pass the words of respect of Oleg Alexeyevich to you, Ruslan Urkalich Dmitry Evgenievich. I'm Dmitry Krasnov, his deputy, responsible for economic bloc, for the strategy of the development of the region, industry, energy, tourism, digitalization, property relations. It's a great honor for me to be present here. It's a great pleasure to be speaking in front of such an audience. I would like to be brief, especially that previous speakers have already informed about the previous principles on the topic. May I start with my presentation, respond to the question first. Cheboksar agglomeration, new opportunities, horizons of investment development. It was well said that agglomeration approach is a global one, it's a federal one, and the tasks for the strategy of spatial development set by the chairman of the government, also speaking about 200 agglomerations, etc. We are not an exception. We are moving in this train. It's been 2 years that we've been working on Cheboksar agglomeration master plan together with Dom RF consortium with Urban Pro.
We finalized this work, and the master plan of the Cheboksar agglomeration has been approved today. What is its purpose? We won't go into details here. It's understandable. It's to concentrate the resources. Besides, in the Cheboksar region, agglomeration has the 80% of the industry potential. Two-thirds of the population is concentrated there. It's 6 municipalities. But for us, in general, it's the point of growth. I would like to draw attention to the benefits of the master plan. First of all, throughout these 5 years, we developed in different directions quite great, and the gross regional product is growing. But when we first discussed it with our colleagues from Tatarstan, it was twice as low as we have right now. In the industry regard, we have plus 30%. In investments, we also have seen the growth. We see the increase in the budgetary profits, and we were 13 among the region. Right now we are 7 or 8. We have the 7 or 8 position in the budgetary profits. We need to keep up with this momentum, and we need to provide sustainability in this development, and this is the approach of agglomeration. What are the effect and the results of the forming and shaping the master plan? It's not just a document for us. Of course, we have the strategies and everything has been approved. But for us, it's the roadmap of our work for the specific period of time. With the team from Dom RF, we worked out 40 projects, very specific cases, which will be the drivers for the further development, will provide impulse for development in different industries. We focused our attention on 10 of them. This is first of all the directions which enhance our advantages, our touristic potential, industry potential, the quality of life, the social aspects. We provide the quality residential building, social infrastructure, transportation, road infrastructure, and these 10 projects we've fixed in the master plan. We have the task up to 2030 to develop. On different platforms, we present these 10 projects. We invite the partners for cooperation in different formats, in investments, state-private cooperation. We concentrate the regional and federal resources for these projects to implement as fast as possible. So this is our way of work and our plan for the future work. Of course, there are some issues on legislation on the federal level. Of course, there are some issues in land plot processing and acquiring the land plots for the benefit of a state, which is presupposed to implementation of some of these master plan projects. But we're working actively with the federal authorities, with Ministry of Economic Development, for example, and together I think we will find an opportunity and way to implement these projects, which are the part of the master plan. These are the points of growth we finalized in the master plan, they are enhanced and supported by the other programs, the special economic zone, for example, and of course tourism, and the support measures from the federal level and regional and on the regional level, of course. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Dmitry Ivanovich. And another speaker is Omar Nagati. And as you know, the Cairo is the most ancient megapolis. So that is like we would like to ask Mr. Nagati on the strategy of development of the big city, which is at the stage of the robust development. The floor is yours.
Yeah, okay. I would like to thank you for this opportunity. My name is Omar Nagati. I'm from Cairo, which is far from here, but there are a lot of parallels I want to draw on. I have only a few minutes, so I'm going to be fast. Cluster, our organization, I'm not part of the government, so we often position ourselves in dialogue with the government, sometimes with a critical position, but we work on a small scale, not a master plan. We work a bottom-up, community-based, and with a sort of focus on social responsibility. Our work on heritage, as some of you have seen before, I have another session on heritage and tourism, on public space, mapping, but I want to focus today on one question, which is informality, informal urbanism. So I happened to be in a different conference last month in Central Asia, in Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan. And I was struck by a similarity between these cities that's seemingly very different from Cairo, but the transition from post-Soviet and in Cairo, a post-socialist state to market economy, new liberal paradigm has not been easy. And I think we're happy to be here to learn of the success stories that Republic of Tatarstan can tell us. But in Cairo, the case was a bit different. So I would like to talk to you about a few examples. And I'm going to show you only one map, even though I'm an urbanist, so I'm going to promise you only one map, just to give you a context. So Cairo is a city of around 20 plus million. It's a megapolis. And it has this regional agglomeration. The inner city core, the orange patch, is deteriorating, falling into decay with this investment and out migration. And then there's a ring of informal self-built neighborhoods around the city, which constitutes 70%. Two-thirds of the city is built without architects, without professionals, without planners. And then there is a state response building these new cities, new communities out, model after suburban development in the United States and Dubai, etc. So we take a critical position because we think that since the last 4 or 5 decades, as this process of deregulation and withdrawal of the state from providing services, urban services, social services, communities have started to find solutions on their own in housing, transportation, health, education, and even infrastructure. And within this community is a lot of innovation and creativity that we try to work with them as a starting point. So we think that in Cairo, the state has this vision of master plan and grand vision to transform the city into Dubai on the Nile, if you will. But the majority of the people live in neighborhood like that. So what do we do? This is the question I'm raising. As architects and planners and professionals, if the majority of our cities are produced without professionals, so what do we do? If we keep critiquing and say this has to be removed and has to slum areas, etc., then we become ourselves irrelevant. We limit ourselves to 5 or 10% of the city making. And we keep talking in rooms and studios while the city is being built without us. So my proposition is we need to change our mindset and find ways, to understand how these neighborhoods work, what is the organizational structure, the logic, they are not chaotic, and how can we find a way to dialogue and build on their capacities. So the last 2 minutes, I'm going to present just an example of what we did. This is a project we presented in the Urban Forum in Cairo last week. The World Urban Forum was hosted by Cairo, and it was also full of policymakers, the United Nations, UN Habitat, etc. Then we presented this vehicle in the middle of this big pavilion, and it's basically a tricycle like the one to the right, that is used by the community for transporting goods and very simple things, but it's a very generic frame. Anybody can fix it, it's very cheap. And then the neighborhoods are lacking some of the services, like hospitals and ambulances. So we tried to use this vehicle to develop something that is based on the solution by the community and growing it up. So it is a very simple, non-urgent cases for medical situations, but it will also transport people with wheelchairs. I think this project is an example of what I'm trying to say. Rather than starting from the SDGs and the international policies and go down, we try to work from the bottom up, look at what people are already finding solutions and work with that, and then bringing together this academic training and abstract knowledge with practical skills and limited resources. And I'm going to leave it here because I have very limited time, but I'm happy to answer questions if any of you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nagati. And I would like to invite the next speaker, Lahi Vakas from Pakistan. And the question for you is the role of the government in Pakistan.
For inviting me to this August gathering. I would like to present you the perspective of Pakistan in agglomeration. Although Pakistan is a developing country, so it faces a lot of issues that are related with urbanization. So first issue is about the infrastructure, because as you know, the cities are growing, and according to UN Habitat report, 39% population is living in urban areas, and by 2050, it will be around 50% urban population will be living in urban centers. So the infrastructure problem is there, and there is another thing is about the housing units. There is a lack of around 10 million housing units. So people are living in the slums, and there are informal jobs. People are doing like they are vendors, and they are not doing good jobs there. Instead of that, in Pakistan, if you see, there is in large cities like Karachi and Lahore, the density, urban density is around 24,000 people per square kilometer are living there. So what we can do, we can learn from the experience of the cities like Kazan, which is very fast developing, and it is good to see that high-rise buildings are there. And yesterday we went to some projects that were very impressive, and they have put some social aspect into it, as there were green projects. Moreover, there are some restorative works of old buildings were going on. So Pakistan, as a developing country, can learn a lot from this region, and I would suggest that this government should request the people from the government of Pakistan, so that our officials should come there and see the development of this region. And if this pace continues, pace of development continues in this region, it will be one of the greatest cities in the near future, and it will be at par with Moscow and St. Petersburg. So in the end, I would like to say that Pakistan, as a developing country, can learn a lot from Republic of Tatarstan in special, and the government of Russia in particular, about the policies that they are putting this country into development and prosperity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was Vakas Elahi, the Deputy Director of the Chief Management of the Trade Organization. I would like to give a floor to Irsura, which mentioned the Mayor of Kazan. So in your opinion, when we're speaking about the administrative control of the agglomerations and management of agglomerations, so what is the best approach in managing the agglomeration? Is it better to base it on the regional councils, or should be centralized? As the mayor of the city, I would say that the best way to manage the agglomeration is to give the authority to the mayor. But it's a part of it. It's a joke at some extent. And when we enlarged the territory of Kazan, all the solutions we adopted with our colleagues from the government of Republic of Tatarstan only showed us that this approach was right. Just 2 words to comment on what previous speakers mentioned. For us, as the mayors in Russian Federation, the fact we discussing the legislative foundation for the agglomeration. So I would like to extend my gratitude to the colleagues in federal government for their efforts in this regards. But if we compare us with the Chinese experience, so we could say that our pace right now is not enough. So we need the solutions which could be implemented right now on the spot. After the millennial anniversary of Kazan, we have 35,000 cars in the city. Right now we have more than 500,000 cars. So these are the temps of development. But the city construction solutions we adopt, we pass for the level which we had, let's say, 10 or 15 years ago. In Kazan, for example, we have the Special Institute for Development of the City, which is focused on the urban development of the capital. And of course, unfortunately, we don't have the competence and skills to provide their expertise for the neighboring towns and cities. And that is why I think that Kazan should enlarge the boundaries. And for example, if we're speaking about agglomeration with the radius of 500 kilometers, it's one thing. But if we're speaking about agglomeration within the 20 kilometers, the pendulum of migration is completely different here. It's the everyday migration, simply speaking, commuting. So, and speaking about the management, the institution which was created is very important. It's just an X-ray to show us where disease is, and it indicates what we should not do. But to medicate this issue, it should be everyday working authority, at least at the municipal level. Maybe we could ask our colleague Oleg Dmitrievich Grigoriev, the director of the Kazan Development Institute. So what are the main strategies for the development of Kazan in regard of the management? Good afternoon, dear colleagues. It's not a very correct question starting from the management. So the master plan is the project document on infrastructure, transport infrastructure, engineering infrastructure, residential construction solutions, where we define for every territory what and then and in which condition to build. This is the project for solutions for the social life, ecological sphere, and so on and so forth. And speaking about the management of the Republic of Tatarstan, it started from the January of this year, using the approach of centralized management in the sphere of urban development and the municipalities. Beside Kazan and Nabережные Челны, they using this approach from January 2026 or 2027 in Kazan, and the centralization of the management showed the great results, because what we see on the level in the level of documentation for the solutions, which was before, so they see the great difference. It is a hard task in regard of the cooperation between different levels, and the Ministry of Construction right now facing the big amount of tasks for the whole public, and the digitalization could be the key to success here. And all the documents starting from Kazan and Kama agglomeration are digitalized, and every point within these documents you can access within the 15 minutes. Everything is automized, so we successfully processing this. But this strict vertical management approach not exclude the horizontal cooperation, which Ilfur Raisevich has mentioned. Of course, every agglomeration need the coordination center, but not just a coordination council. When we see the effectiveness is very close to zero, but it should be the coordination center which is analyzing the situation, promotes the solution, and pass it to the head of the region. And for example, right now in Kama agglomeration we have the issue on railroad overload, so we created a dynamic model which based on the work of the state operator. So this analyzing coordination work should be constantly present. Thank you very much, Oleg Viktorovich. So we have 1 minute. Rustam Nurgalevich, maybe you will finalize our discussion. Was it interesting? It's not the end of the discussion, is just the beginning to discuss it on this very high level. It is a very important topic. At some point we lack competences, and without these structures, without the involvement of specialists, it will be very complicated for us. And the experience of our Chinese partners, they are open. We have a number of agreements with different Chinese provinces and regions on the municipal level. Of course, we have the partnership with China, and of course, we will continue our work. We are just at the beginning of our path, and our colleagues from Chuvash Republic, Kirov region, and our foreign partners, and everyone present in this audience, would like to cordially thank for the attendance. And this topic and what we are doing right now in urban development will be very hard to amend, so you need to stay rational and use the complex approach in solving these issues. Right now we see the focus on the core settlement, and on the federal and the regional level we need to concentrate our finance resources there. But 40% of Russian population are living outside this core settlement, and 40% are living the quality of life is far from good here. So there are, of course, different support measures and programs, and we need to use them, and we need to provide for every citizen of our country the same conditions. Where we have the good level, we need to enhance it. And Russia is the big country, and if we should treat everyone equal, and these core settlements and agglomerations, they interact, but it's not the same. The agglomeration, I think we need to define the agglomerations which are in need of development, and we're living in this in the agglomeration, and we are not limited its development, but we need to use the complex approach in solving these issues, especially if we're speaking about the cooperation between different municipalities. It's just a living organism. So we need to promote this cooperation. And so these topics are of paramount importance. So we are just tried to define this right now. So I would like to give a round of applause for the moderator. So I just visited different cities and record this development. Thank you very much, dear colleagues, for this discussion. Dear audience, thank you very much for your attention. That's the end of the discussion, but we continue our work within the framework of our forum. I wish you all a very successful day.